Well, keep those wins coming in as we get started. I just want to check in to make sure that everyone is in the right place. So in the chat, I want you to type, yeah, this is me, or I'm here, or yes, with an exclamation point if any of this resonates with you. You're a leader, you're navigating complex challenges, managing a team or teams, you're making big picture decisions, you're
Oh,
passionate
that's
about your
relatable.
organization's mission, you want to make a positive impact, you have a hunger for learning. But you don't want to do it at the expense of working all hours. You don't want to have to work nights and weekends. Your calendar's packed and you wish you had more time to think. You want to lead with confidence and clarity, but you're
Hmm.
struggling with some uncertainty. You're not getting the results you expect from your team. Maybe you're struggling with some conflict or some team dynamics, having tough conversations. You're not really getting the results that you want. So, if any of this resonates with you or all of this resonates with you, let me know in the chat. And I'll also ask just to make sure everybody mutes. So there was somebody that I heard. I think you're all muted now, but just make sure you're muted if you're not sharing out loud. I see lots of yeses, lots of yeses. So if you didn't hear me, make sure that you have a pen and paper handy because there are some exercises I'm going to have you do throughout. And you can also capture any questions that you have along the way. So I had asked you when you registered, I'd had this question in the registration. Any challenges with team development that are top of mind for you right now? And you shared lots of things. So some of them came in the registration, and some of you I talked to beforehand to just ask, what are some of those team development challenges that you're dealing with right now? And the themes that I heard were staying connected remotely, letting go of control, getting out of the weeds, being more strategic, working all hours. My team doesn't have the bandwidth. I'm struggling with boundaries and saying no, and so is my team. Perfectionism, burnout, navigating uncertainty, being good team players, figuring out how to stay motivated with all of the external challenges that are happening right now, balancing clarity and accountability with compassion, not micromanaging, making sure there's a timely turnaround time on the key performance indicators or our goals or our deadlines, getting the right people in the right roles. So these are a bunch of the themes that I heard. Am I missing anything? Are there any other challenges that are really top of mind for you with team development right now that I missed? Go ahead and post that in the chat. And while you're doing that, I just want to say that I get this. I've been in your shoes before as a leader myself, especially in the nonprofit healthcare space, where when I led teams, our resources were really strapped. We kept getting pulled into the weeds. We needed to make decisions without all the information, and the stress really permeated all parts of our work and our life. Leslie also shared fear of success. Yeah, that's such an interesting one. There was someone on my team years ago that I talked to about this because we were talking about the fear of failure. But what we really uncovered when we dug deep was it wasn't so much the fear of failing. It was, well, what if I succeed? Like, what do I do then? Can I really manage this? And can I sustain that success for the long term? So thanks for sharing that. So I want us to imagine a better future for ourselves if we're struggling with some of those things. So I want you to think about you having a system in place to navigate your workload, creating more bandwidth to focus on what matters most. And when I say bandwidth, it's more than just having time back on your calendar. It's really having the space to think, connect, grow, develop, plan, vision, and this system, it helps you enjoy time with your friends, your family, your community, and you're feeling more confident. You feel like you can handle conflict effectively. You're consistently getting the results that you want and need from your team. Imagine being excited about going to work on Monday, having the Sunday joys instead of the Sunday blues. And imagine doing that without working all hours, without burning yourself out, without dreading Monday mornings or feeling like an imposter every time you walk into the office. All of this imagining can be a reality. I've made it happen for myself. And I'll share a little bit about my story before I start digging into some specific tactics and exercises that we'll do. So, My career path hasn't exactly been linear. If you see that kind of creepy photo in the top, that was from my acting days. So I actually went to school for theater and I moved out to California. I lived in the Hollywood area for several years and it didn't work out. I'm not a famous movie star. And but it really taught me early on a lot about failure, navigating failure, navigating some very embarrassing and shameful experiences. I was working a lot of odd jobs at the time. I was doing catering for award ceremonies. I was a production assistant for America's Funniest Home Videos. I sold smoked salmon at a farmer's market, really just anything to make ends meet while I was also doing the auditioning and all the things that you do when you get into acting. Now, what this experience taught me really early in life is I failed, I felt shame, and I survived. It really helped me to embrace that I'm messy, I'm a work in progress, and I'm someone who makes mistakes. So when I moved back east to Maryland and landed my first corporate role at a hospital in Baltimore, I wasn't sure why there was so much stress. We saw healthcare leaders overwhelmed. They were juggling team dynamics and conflict, burnout, questioning their purpose. And I didn't want this to be my story. I was already stressed, overwhelmed, and exhausted from the 3 years living in California. And I didn't want to spend the next several years in that same place. So I started reading everything I could get my hands on related to managing my time, developing leadership skills. I went to workshops, I got mentors, I went back to school and got my MBA, and I built systems that helped me to stay calm and focused. And then I started sharing those with others. And then they started seeing the same results and they kept coming to me for advice. And that's when I realized, well, am meant to teach and coach, not do this operations management role, which was what I was in at the time. So I pivoted and I shifted to learning and organizational development over 10 years ago. I worked in hospital, I worked in public sector, I worked in nonprofit over those 10 to 12 years, leading the learning function. And all while I moved from Maryland to Colorado, I had a couple of kids, and I was doing this through a pandemic, all of it. And really uncovered how the system that I had built for myself was working because I wasn't burning out. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was able to, the last team that I worked with, I worked at a nonprofit as a director for 5 years. I was able to navigate all of that without working more than 40 hours a week and improve engagement, improve participation in all of our programming. I mean, we taught and coached hundreds of employees over the years and really saw huge results along the way. And now, because I'm so passionate about leadership development and making this a better experience for leaders, that's where I spend 100% of my time. My sole focus is on helping leaders find joy, passion, and results on their teams and in their organizations. So that's a little bit about me. Yes, I just saw the Sunday joys instead of the Sunday blues. I made up that term over the summer and I'm sticking with it. I want the Sunday joys. So we all have a story. I don't know if your career took some twists and turns as well. Maybe you had some interesting jobs early on in your career, but we have the talents and the skills we need to be successful leaders. They're already within us. You just might not see them yet. And we can all do this without overworking ourselves. So, my goal for you today is to show you what's impossible to get consistent and impactful results without having to sacrifice yourself and your time to do it. I want you to get to the good part of leadership, the part where you and your team are growing, you're engaged, you're performing, and I don't want it to take you years to get there. But we all know things get in the way because if this was easy, we'd already be doing it. But some of the things that get in the way relate to our belief system. It is hard for us not to believe that we can't make mistakes, that we need to have all of the answers, that we must know everything that's going on, have our hands involved in everything to fix all of our weaknesses and our team's weaknesses. What else gets in the way? Are there other beliefs that you see get in the way? I haven't put up here. Go ahead and post in the chat. I'd love to see if there's anything that I'm missing. And I got this list from people that I've worked with over the years. These are the things that I've heard people say, and I've been guilty of saying them myself at times. Need to maintain a reputation of perfection. Yep. Can't be vulnerable. Yeah. Anything else? Any other beliefs that you see getting in the way? Well, I think most of us know sacrifice is part of the work. Yeah. Most of us know none of this is true, right? Can't say no. And I want to help you break through those beliefs. In a book that I highly recommend you read if you haven't, it's called Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. It's something I recommend to all leaders. It's really helped me to break down some of these beliefs in myself and others. And her website actually has a free assessment that I highly recommend as well. What I really like about this book, besides the examples that she shares, is she has some tangible exercises, things you can do in the back of the book that I've implemented myself, but it's just really practical. And it's one of those books that you can move to action right away. All right, so here is the solution that I've uncovered for myself and I've worked with leaders around helping you to navigate your workload, leading with confidence, and building a high performing team. So, this is the blueprint that I'm going to share with you today. We're going to go through a few examples, some tips, and some exercises. Now, I kind of given you a bit of my backstory, and I'll just say that this blueprint is really a culmination of the best practices that I've learned over the past 18 years working in healthcare and public sector and nonprofit. And for most of that time, I was in a formal leadership role working in the learning and organizational development space while coaching individuals, leading team events and retreats, designing and facilitating leadership workshops. This blueprint is really what I now focus in my own leadership coaching and consulting practice. So, before we start digging into nuts and bolts, I want you to have a realistic expectation of what it takes to grow as a leader. There is no arrival. Developing as a leader is an ongoing process. It is a long game. No matter where you're at in your leadership journey, you will always need to invest in your development. And this could be workshops, classes like this, books, podcasts, coaches, 360s, mentors. But if you think there is a quick fix for a one and done, which I'm sure we all wish that there was, this conversation won't be for you. Think of this as just dipping our toes into the water of what's possible. And if you are looking for a quick fix, I 100% give you permission to leave now. I will not be personally offended if you decide this isn't for you. And because I'm giving you my time and expertise in this space today, I will share a way that we can partner at the end. I created a program around this. And if you think that's going to annoy you, I get it. And I will not be offended if you want to leave. So, again, this is just a starting point. I'm going to give you some things that you could implement immediately. So, I hope you hang out with me. But I really want to be able to support and partner with you. So, that's why I'm going to mention that at the end. And if you stay, I will make sure that this is valuable for you. I'm going to have some specific strategies you can start implementing when you get back to work in the three areas I mentioned. And I'll have questions throughout and also at the end. And I'll offer a bonus if you stay to the end as well. Okay, so let's start digging in with the first exercise. So have that pen and paper ready or have that Word document open because we're going to do our first exercise. And before I start sharing tactics to help you in the three categories I mentioned, I really want you to have a clear vision for yourself in the future. Think about where you are today. What happens if you continue to operate this way? What do you want your ideal to be? Where do you want to be a year from now? So, this is the first exercise. I'm going to ask you to put together your own 1 year from now I am statement. And this is really you tapping into the type of leader that you aspire to be, how you want to show. And here's some examples for inspiration of 1 year from now I am statements that leaders have come up with that I've worked with. So just take a couple of minutes to write that down for yourself. And the language here is really important. We want to focus on I am instead of I will be. When you say I am, you're really embodying your future self and it fosters a stronger connection to that goal. So 1 year from now, I am. And if you want to share it in the chat, I'd love to see it. 1 year from now, I am, excuse me, driving positive change at my company. Oh, I love it, Linda. And I imagine, Linda, you already are, from what I know about you. What else? Love to see an I am statement. Anyone else want to share? Putting it out into the universe, it helps increase your chance of reaching it. Anyone else? I see some people writing. Mm. Okay, other Jen Rekla. 1 year from now, I am leading a local nonprofit, building my team that is focused on fun, joy, and everyday laughter. I'm leaving notes of gratitude for my team and mentoring them to be leaders themselves. I'm collaborating with change makers across the world to develop transformative teams and leaders through coaching workshops and big projects. This is like giving me chills to see some of these. This is incredible. If you want to share, keep sharing. This is an example of an exercise that I do with people that I work with. And one thing that I also recommend once they've come up with their 1 year from now statement is put it somewhere visible. So write it on a sticky note, have it on your computer, put that sticky note on your mirror when you wake up in the morning or near your desk, share it with others. It really makes it more of a reality. It is something that reminds you every day of how I want to show up, what I want to embody. So that's where we start with the 1 year from now vision for yourself. Now we're going to get into the blueprint and we're going to start with navigating your workload. So I want you to think about this is a self-assessment. How effectively do you feel you're navigating your workload? And when I'm talking about navigating your workload, I'm talking about navigating your time, managing your effort, managing your energy. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are? You can post that in the chat. Make sure you mark it on your paper as well, because I'm going to have you add up your scores at the end. Also, love these 1 year from now statements that are coming in. Purpose driven, confident, and I love the specificity behind them too. That's like motivating, when you see that. It's a reminder of why you're doing what you're doing and why you want to continue to grow. Awesome. Those 1 year statements. Keep them coming. All right. So navigating your workload, scale of 1 to 10. How you think you're doing? Be honest. It's just us. You can either share it in the chat, write it on your paper. It's okay if you don't want to share it. 6, 7 out of 5, kind of in the middle, 6.5. Okay. Kind of mid-range. We've got some mid-range numbers. 7. All right. Hold on to these numbers. So again, we're going to do these for each of the categories, and I'm going to have you add at the end. So I'm going to introduce you to Lisa. Lisa is a CEO. When she came to me, she was exhausted. She wanted to spend more time with her family, for herself. She was working from the moment she got up in the morning to the evening, including Saturdays and Sundays. She felt the need to be accessible to everything all the time. She was doing it all, and she knew it wasn't sustainable. Ultimately, her goal was to stop working weekends, have her Fridays off, and delegate with confidence, knowing and trusting that the work would get done at the quality she expected. She wanted to have space to vision, to think, to plan, develop relationships, and grow herself, her team, and the organization. So we built a system for her to plan, prioritize, and delegate. And this is the next exercise I'm going to have you do. So I want you to open your calendars if they're not already open. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to note one thing. What on your calendar really doesn't need you there? Is there a meeting that there's other team members that are going and they can rep you? Or could this be an opportunity for another team member to maybe step up and take your place? Perhaps there is something on your calendar that, yeah, this is important, but we don't need to start this now. We could start this next month. And that would give me a little bit more breathing space so we can reschedule it. So you're going to select one thing to note. And this is a habit that I recommend leaders try out for at least 30 days. Every week, you note one thing. It just gets you in the habit of saying no and being very thoughtful about what you say yes to. So that's the first part. Nope one thing. So write it down on your paper, or you can nope it on your calendar right now. Delegate. So who else can take this on? Maybe there is a committee that you're on right now and you're not adding a lot of value. Or there is somebody on the team that would add just as much value as you, and this could be a growth opportunity for them. Maybe there's someone that just needs a little bit of coaching and they could step up and they could take this on. So it could be a meeting or it could be a task, an activity that you have posted on your challenge on your calendar that you could delegate to somebody else. One thing to know, one thing to delegate. And then what's one thing that absolutely I need to keep this? I'm the best at this. This needs my expertise. This is a valuable meeting for me. This is a valuable meeting for the other person or the group. Where do I add the most value? And I'd give you an example, one-on-ones. One-on-ones with your direct reports, I would say that's a definite keep. That is one of the most important meetings on your calendar. That's a chance for you to connect, remove barriers, check in, build relationships. So that could be an example of something that you keep. So, nope one thing, delegate one thing, keep one thing. This is an example of a system we put in place for Lisa to be able to get her weekends. So now she doesn't work nights and weekends. She's been taking every other Friday off throughout the summer. She's delegated work related to payroll and accounting and sales. And it's giving her time back on her calendar to do that visioning strategic work to build relationships with new customers and really focus on growing her organization. We're actually in the place, I just talked to her last week. We had our one-to-one, and we're at the point now where we're stepping into the next phase. Okay, we're in a good place with navigating our workload. Let's look at the next steps of really building my confidence as a CEO and making sure that I'm using this time in the best way. So, getting a handle on your workload, that's one way to build your confidence as a leader. But what else builds confidence? This is where we're going to do another self check on a scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you as a leader? Let me know in the chat. Mark it on your paper. Yes, Jordan, noping is fun. And even saying that word, nope, it has a little key pop. Scale of 1 to 10, confidence as a leader. 9, awesome, Yasmin. 7, 7.5. Okay. 9. So we got some higher numbers in this space, which I think is great. Make sure you track this on your paper too, because we're going to add this up at the end. Okay, so a little bit higher. Here's the two biggest challenges that I see with leading confidently. Letting go of control. We're all hardwired for this. It's hard. And communication. And this encompasses communicating effectively with others, having tough conversations, and giving and receiving feedback. When I started working with Paul, he's a VP, had a new CEO who had a very different communication style as him. How do I communicate with her? How do I navigate our discussions? So we used a tool called Insights Discovery to understand the varying communication styles. We mapped out a plan for conversations and expectations in the future. When I started working with Elise, she was in an individual contributor role, an absolute exceptional employee, high subject matter expert. And in no time at all, she was promoted to a manager role. She's actually now a senior director after a few years of moving through the ranks because she's so talented. But because she was also a subject matter expert, people relied on her for so much. Anyone ever experienced that where you were the subject matter expert, you got promoted, but people were still pulling you into that old role that you had as the subject matter expert? Well, that's what was happening for her. She was being pulled in a million directions. She's trying to build her confidence and skills as a leader. And we really had to shift her mindset around the value that she was providing as a leader. She was no longer the doer, she was the guide, the coach, the mentor. And we built a plan to let go of the responsibilities that no longer made sense as a leader, which created space for her to really build her leadership communication skills. And then the biggest challenge that I see leaders working with, that I work with, wanting to dig into is really around having tough conversations. Both Rob and Ryan, they came to me with this need to have tougher conversations with their peers, with their leaders, their external partners. While they have frameworks and tools that we use to help them craft that messaging, really the most important component we worked on was this: starting with your intent is one of the most powerful communication and relationship building strategies that you can use as a leader. It is less about what you say than how you say it. Both are important, but your intention speaks louder than words. So I want you to think about, this is our next exercise. You're going to think about someone you need to have a tough conversation with. It could be someone on your team, it could be somebody in your personal life. And I'm going to have you take 2 minutes to just write out the situation, write a few sentences about the situation, and then answer this question. You know you need to have a conversation with them. What is your intent going into that conversation? Is it to punish, to win, to shame, to blame, be right? Or is it to support their growth, help them improve, create a great experience for our customers or our members? So go ahead and take 2 minutes to write down the situation and then write down your intent. And this exercise is for you. You're not something I'll ask you to share in the chat. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Destiny. Leading with emotional intelligence and intuition. Yeah, so again, I'm not going to have you share what you wrote down. That is more for you to go and have that conversation that you need to have. And your intent is so important. There's a model that I have been using for years around tough conversations, crucial conversations. Many of you might be familiar with it. They have a book as well. And this start with heart, what is your intent? It's something that I use all the time in my personal life and all the time in my professional life. Before going into that tough conversation or giving feedback to someone, I think, what is my intent? Is it a healthy intent? Am I here to continue to strengthen the relationship, help support this person, find out what really happened? Or am I going into this conversation with an unhealthy intent to win, I know I'm right or I know I'm lying. If that happens, it doesn't matter what you say. If you have that unhealthy intention, the other person is automatically going to go on the defensive. So having that healthy intent beforehand, stopping yourself to say, what is it that I want for me? What do I want for us? What do I want for the team or our family? Asking those questions first before you have the conversation is imperative. All right, the last piece of the blueprint is building a thriving, high performing team. I mentioned one of the teams I worked with, a nonprofit. I was the director of a learning team for many, many years. This is us. This is us at our annual holiday event. I want you to think about your own team now. We're going to do that self assessment again. When you think about your team, how do you feel about their performance? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Based on your expectations, the results that you're seeing. How would you rate them? Post in the chat, let me know. Make sure that you also mark it on your piece of paper. 9, 10. Okay, so some higher numbers. 6, 7, 7. Okay, so maybe a little bit of space for improvement. Maybe they're doing great and it's just about continuing to sustain that momentum. Love it. Okay, so make sure you capture that on your paper. So throughout my learning and development career, I have focused on leadership development from a strengths-based approach. And this mug, this is with my Clifton Strengths mug. It sits on my desk, so I see it every day when I come into my office. And I very much use this in everything that I do. It is something that I wholeheartedly believe is so important to lead with from that spaced, strengths-based approach. So I have a little exercise for us. Have that pen and paper handy. Yeah, the Clifton Strengths mug. You can Google it, Clifton Strengths mug, and they have a website, and you can get your own. If you've done Clifton Strengths with your team, actually gifted this team mugs as well. It's a really fun, pretty affordable gift. Yes, Jordan, we share too of Ranger and Futuristic. How fun. Yeah, I love when I get to talk about Clifton Strengths. It's such a great, great tool. Danielle, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. I think I'm getting a little feedback. Okay, so have your paper and pen ready. This is an exercise that I've done with teams before, and it's really about individual productivity. So I'm going to be timing you. What you're going to do is you're going to write this I use my strengths everyday statement on your paper 3 times, and I'm going to time you. Don't do it just yet. Just make sure you have that ready. And you're going to be measured. We're going to measure speed and quality for this. So have that pen and paper ready. I'm going to get my stopwatch ready. So just give me a moment while I get my stopwatch going. Can you all let me know in the chat? Yes, I have. Let me know in the chat if you have that pen and paper ready before I start. I see some yeses. Okay, great. All right. So write it 3 times on your paper. Oh, make sure you use your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, switch the pen to left. If you're left-handed, switch the pen to right. Okay, I'm going to start. Go. And then just let me know in the chat when you're done. Okay, we're at 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Anyone done yet? No, let me see something. Okay. Mm, 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 45 seconds. All right, we're at a minute, so I'm going to have you stop. Go ahead and stop. It's okay if you didn't finish. It's okay if you didn't. I'm going to give you round 2. And guess what? You get to use your dominant hand for this round. Oh, okay, done. 1 minute, 4 seconds. Okay. It's okay, Heidi, if it's not pretty. That's fine. You're going to get another chance. So we're going to do this again. I'm going to do the stopwatch again. You can use your dominant hand now, right? I use my strengths every day on that piece of paper. Okay, ready? And then tell me when you're done. Okay, go. Then just post in the chat when you're done. All right. 27 seconds. That was a bit better. So, how did round one feel? Let me know in the chat. How did it feel? Awkward. Hard. Anyone else? Clumsy, slow. Yeah, annoying, challenging. So annoying. Uncomfortable. Like I lost all ability to write. Yes, it's a horrible feeling. Slow, but still proud of myself. Sure, all of the above. Now, how about round two? When you got to write with your dominant hand, how'd that feel? Yeah, easy. Easy peasy. Better, easy, natural. Hmm. Yeah, like you were in control unnecessarily. Comfortable. Yeah. So I love doing this exercise because round one really is meant to be similar to what it's like working in our weaknesses and the things that are we're not great at, we're not natural at, or they're just draining for us. We just don't like doing it. It's uncomfortable. It takes more effort. It takes us longer to produce something. The quality isn't as great. For some of us, it might be horrible or annoying. And the other, when you wrote with your dominant hand, that is more of what it's like to work in your strengths every day. It's easy, it's natural, it's something that's already in you. It's maybe this particular exercise isn't energizing, but when you work in your strengths, it is a much more energizing space. You lose track of time. You feel like you're in flow. And that is really what a strengths based approach is all about. It is about tapping into what you're great at and the things that you're not so great at. Well, how can I use my strengths to minimize them? Or where can I borrow strengths from others on the team? I do not need to be great at all of these things. I want to be great at these top 5 to 10 things. And then I'm going to find people that can fill in the gaps. I'm going to work with people where we can become, as a team, more holistic. We can use complementary strengths to get things done. And this is one of the approaches that I took with the team that I worked with. We implemented strengths work. We redistributed work based on the different talents. For example, I love momentum. I love getting it going on an initiative, getting people excited, raise their hands, want to participate. Guess who hates that? Bryce. Bryce is one of the most critical thinkers on that team. And he was always asking the tough questions, digging into the details. Guess who hates that? Me. So we collaborated, we switched responsibilities where we could, and it made it a much more pleasant work environment for all of us. And that's just one example of how we used our strengths to collaborate and execute on the work amongst the team. It led to the 5 years that I was with them, it led to 100% retention. We actually expanded our team by 2 FTEs. We saw a 200% increase in program participation with all of our learning programming, and we saw 41% increase in customer satisfaction and engagement. And nothing had to suffer in my personal life to accomplish this. I wasn't working all nights and weekends, and we were continuing to reach our key performance indicators. And I was continuing to get high marks on my performance review ratings with my executive. Then I started working with Katie. Katie was recently promoted to a leadership position last year, and her team was struggling. Morale was low. They weren't hitting their goals like by a lot. Their turnaround time on requests was a big measure of success, and they were missing the mark. She wanted to see more consistent results, more camaraderie on the team. She didn't want to dread coming into work, and she really wanted to build her confidence as a leader. So we tapped into strengths work. We uncovered the best ways for her team to communicate and collaborate. And when there was a new pilot she needed to roll out to help them reach their goals, we looked back at the team's strengths to distribute the work. It's been several months now since she implemented the strengths work into her team, and she's experienced several big wins. They have met their turnaround time that they were missing. They had a recent audit with 0% findings and 100% accuracy, which she said has never happened in the 16 years that she's worked there. And I asked her what contributed to those wins, and she said the strengths work was the biggest factor. Before working with me, she never would have distributed work that way. She's now using the tool to free up more time, grow her team by delegating more, aligning responsibilities, and work with the strengths of the team. And one activity in particular she told me about that she had delegated gave her enough time to meet her budget deadline, which she was very worried about meeting. And on a personal level, as a leader, using the strengths tool helped her form a deeper connection with her leader. And it built her confidence to ask for a raise that was then approved. And this doesn't even factor in the visible relief that I saw on her face in our last couple of coaching calls together. She wasn't dreading coming into the office anymore. There was camaraderie and engagement on the team that she wasn't experiencing before. So that is the blueprint with some examples and exercises that you can take away. What was your score, your total score from those three quick self-assessments that we took? Go ahead and post that in the chat, add them up real quick. 26, that's awesome. 20, 23. Okay, so kind of in the 20s, 20 mark. So if you're in that 25 to 30 flying high, um, that is a great place to be. Really, anything below that indicates some space for growth. But I would also even argue that those who are flying high above 25 should still focus on continuous improvement. We never want to get lax about team development work, about our own improvement. So I want you to really think about that 1 year from now statement. You're embodying it because you can navigate your workload effectively without working all hours. You're using that nope, keep, delegate strategy to help you sort your activities. You're leading confidently by letting go of control and strengthening your communication and really thinking about your intent, starting with that healthy intent before going into tough conversations, feedback. And you and your team, you're leaning into your strengths. You're using a tool like Clifton Strengths or Insights Discovery to really help you better collaborate, be more cohesive, and get to that higher performance. So, and really one common theme throughout this is that strengths piece. This blueprint is about leaning into strengths individually and the strengths of your team, really tapping into talents for the best results possible. I would love to hear one takeaway, one action that you plan to be doing next with this. What is one thing that you can implement? Can you implement noping one thing a week? You want to go out and get the multipliers book. You want to go have that tough conversation and really start with that healthy intent. Go ahead and post in the chat. I'd love to see a takeaway, an action that you plan on taking as a result. I love learning. I love being parts of classes, but it's really all about the action. What do you take with you that you're going to implement when you get back into your work, into your life? Do more no-bait. Yes. Get that multiplier book. Delegate more. Spend more time with my vision, incorporate strengths, maybe a vision board. Oh, I love that. I will come and do a vision board with you. Go back to Strengths Finder. Look at those top strengths, align them with everyday work. Read multipliers, practice removing. Sorry, they were coming in so fast. Getting clear on my intention, bringing idea of strengths to managers. You have a leadership interview in Fort Collins this afternoon. Ooh, do some of this. Amazing. I love it. Thank you for sharing all of that. All right, so I'd mentioned in the beginning that I was going to share a way to partner with me that encompasses this blueprint. It's a 6-month coaching program. I'll do a quick rundown of what it looks like and then open it up to any questions that you may still have. Now, I mentioned these top 3 pieces of the blueprint, those are the three phases that we go through in the beginning of the 6 month coaching program. And the last piece, kind of the bonus at the end, is to create a sustainability plan so you continue to grow beyond the program. So, what does this look like? What do you get for this time? This program, and who's this program for? When you think about the pain points that you have, the challenges that you have, the vision for yourself. This is really who this program is for. People that are in leadership positions, they want to get out of the weeds, they want to focus on the big picture. You're navigating uncertainty, you want to handle conflict more productively, you want to increase your confidence and your clarity, you want to strengthen your presence as a leader, and you don't want to have to work all hours to do it. Here is what is included in the program. I offer one-to-one, 1 hour coaching sessions over the 6 months. We meet every 2 weeks, so it's 13 sessions total. There's group coaching that happens every week for 1 hour with peers. So you can learn from me as a facilitator. You can learn from other leaders that are going through similar challenges with you. We use tools like Clifton Strengths and Insights that I'd mentioned. I have an entire resource center that has tools, templates, exercises, things you can do for yourself, things you can use with your team. It is something that is a culmination of a lot of work over the past 10 plus years, and you have access to it throughout the program and beyond. And it's one of those things that I constantly am adding to. And then that sustainability plan that I mentioned. This is really about helping you be more proactive, more strategic, less firefighting, more time and energy to focus on what's important to you, less stress, better decision making, stronger team alignment and cohesion, and really sustainability beyond the 6 months. So this is something that I hear from leaders. I don't have time. I don't have time for something like this. I don't have time to spend in developing myself right now. And I know that's why we start with navigating your workload. This is the number one complaint that I hear from leaders. They're working all hours. I can't add any more to my plate. I will help you create a system that works for you to work a normal schedule, not at night, not on the weekends, during the times that work best for you. We start with a strengths assessment to uncover what your top strengths are. What are the things that we can leverage to help you navigate your workload? What's getting in the way? And then we set up a system to create more time, energy, and capacity in your schedule so you can focus on what matters most, again, without working all hours. The second piece, leading with confidence, you don't need to have all the answers. It doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. It doesn't mean you can't make mistakes or you won't ever get nervous. A lot of this next phase is about letting go of limiting beliefs that are getting in the way, letting go of trying to control everything and everyone. It's about diving deeper into your strengths and using them as a tool to build confidence. And most importantly, it's about strengthening your ability to navigate conflict, give and receive feedback, and have tough conversations. Yes, team dynamics are hard, but we can't do our jobs as leaders without people. We shouldn't be in leadership if we don't like people. If really that's the case, we don't want to deal with them. Yes, people are complex. They can be frustrating at times. They also add so much value. That same idea of strengths we've talked about in phases 1 and 2, that's a huge part of this third phase. I remember reading a stat on mishandled conflict. When conflict is not handled productively in the workplace, it equates to about 8 hours of unproductive time. If you think about all the unproductive conflict that's happening in your workplace and how much time that's costing you, it's a lot. The other thing that I think is really important is there's a lot of research that Gallup does around strengths in leadership. And when a leader does not focus on strengths with their team, there is a 9% chance of that employee being engaged. If they do focus on strengths, that increases to 73%. So it's a huge tie to having an engaged team. Listen, I would love to work with people forever in this program, but let's face it, growing in leadership, it never truly ends. But I recognize that not everyone can make that same level of investment throughout their leadership journey. I want to set you up with a strong foundation so you can walk away and continue to strengthen your leadership skills beyond our time together. So you end the program with a sustainability plan to map out your next steps and goals for continuous improvement beyond the 6 months. Just a few testimonials from individuals I've coached over the years. Val, she went from getting feedback that she wasn't strategic to now having strategic in the title of her leadership role. You can see a couple of the others I mentioned, Elise, Ryan, Katie. We worked through letting go, having effective conversations, using a strengths-based approach with their teams, which all led to higher engagement and better team results. That's it. Thank you for staying with me through the end as I shared that. I hope you found some useful exercises and tips today. I put my information up here. Please connect with me on LinkedIn if we're not already connected. And I also have my website and my email address for you there as well. And leading the team is not easy. It can feel lonely and frustrating at times, but it also can be so magical and rewarding. And I want that for you. You don't have to figure this out alone. I'm here to help you accelerate your growth, support you every step of the way. I want to remind you that you're ready. You stuck with me until the end. There's a reason you're still here. So thank you for that. I'm going to open it up the last few minutes to just questions. If anyone has questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing